These two beds are where I grew my sweet potatoes and onions this year. They're all ready for the winter. But I harvested almost 100 pounds of sweet potatoes just from these two little beds and enough onions to last me the rest of the year. So I was harvesting all my sweet potatoes and I was thinking, like, I am a great gardener. Look at all these sweet potatoes. And I spent nothing on them. They were totally free. I used a sweet potato leftover from last year to grow my own slips that I planted in these beds. And all I did was add a little chicken compost from my compost pile in the back. And a few months later, I had 100 pounds of sweet potatoes, which is great. And I was feeling really good about myself, but I really thought about it. And all I did was seriously put a plant in the ground and water it occasionally. That's the majority of my maintenance work. So it's not like I did anything awesome or cool or amazing. All I did was put something in the ground. The amazing thing is nature. Nature is amazing because you can put a little tiny plant and you get hundreds of pounds of produce when you're done. If you want to make a retaining wall, you can use boulders. You can use concrete. You can use concrete block made for retaining walls. Or better yet, if you're on a budget, just make a hill. But whatever you do, do not use railroad ties as retaining walls. They will fail. I was browsing Instagram and I came across this photo. This is from the Instagram handles right here, and I'll tag it, and it's from Tim Pilgrim, who's a garden designer in Australia. And this is one of his designs being installed, and at first glance, it is pretty boring. All there is a bunch of pots on some dirt, and it doesn't look that interesting. What struck me is this designer does some amazing work, but most of his work, what makes it amazing are the plants. And without the plants, the design wouldn't look good. I think when we have a plant-based design, you really let the plants highlight the garden. And that's what makes a garden is the plants. And it might look boring initially when you're putting things in, but once those plants start growing and filling in, it really creates this beautiful haven that you can enjoy. What's the difference between a fruit and a vegetable? Obviously, this carrot is a vegetable, this apple is a fruit. But why do we say that? So you can look at it botanically, which this is a fruit because a fruit contains seeds. Vegetables aren't really a thing botanically. It's just any kind of plant part. The other way you can look at it is from a nutritional or cooking standpoint, where fruits generally contain more sugars and vegetables have less sugars and tend to have more nutritional value. And then you think of tomatoes, which don't have as much sugar, so we put them under vegetables, even though botanically they are fruit. There is also a third way to look at it, and that is horticulturally or agriculturally. So fruits grow on woody plants. So this apple grows on a tree. Most berries grow on woody shrubs. And vegetables are annuals, or we grow them as annuals, and we pick them after a year, and they grow on herbaceous plant material, so not woody. They don't grow on trees. This carrot just grows in the ground. I like the horticultural classification because I work as a horticulturalist at times, and it's fun because you really look at just how things grow. So obviously this carrot is a vegetable, but what would be considered a vegetable horticulturally would also be like a melon, because that grows on an annual herbaceous vine instead of like a tree, like this kind of fruit. So anyway, that's 3 different ways you can decide if something is a fruit and a vegetable. You can look at the botanical nature of it, it's a fruit because it contains seeds. You can look at the nutritional value. It's a vegetable because there's not as much sugar and more nutritional content. But you can also look at how it's grown. So fruits grow on woody plants and vegetables grow on herbaceous